Exercise 42, Annotations and Pointer Options, part of the PowerPoint 2007 Exam Prep Guide brought to you by Shiftkey Solutions. In this exercise, we're going to be looking at running a slideshow and then applying annotations to the slide presentation itself, and then keeping those annotations for printout later. So let's come to our slideshow tab, and then over here in the Start Slideshow group, I'm going to click the From Beginning command, and that'll start my presentation. I can proceed forward in my presentation in a number of ways. I can press my space bar, I can press my Enter key, I can use my arrow keys up or down, or I can left click my mouse. So I left click my mouse and it takes me to the next slide, and I can see this is slide 2 and this one's slide 3, and if I click again I see a little bit of an animation here, and here's slide 4, slide 5, slide 6, slide 7, slide 8, and here's a bit of an animation, and then here on slide 9 I want to pause, and let's just say during my presentation we have a little bit of a discussion about this table, in which case I'm going to move my mouse around, in which makes my cursor appears here. I'm going to right click on my screen and come to Pointer Options, and then down here I have several options to choose from. The one I'm going to choose first is my highlighter. So I click this and that changes my cursor to a yellow bar. And then during my conversation with the audience, we look to identify this 70.8%, and I'm going to click to drag to highlight this just to emphasize this area. And then from there I'm going to right click on my screen again and then choose Pointer Options and come to my felt tip pen, and that'll change my cursor into this little red dot. And now I want to write on the screen include 2 years prior, meaning we want to include not just last year and this year, I want to include 2 years prior to the current year we're in instead of just this last year. So I want to write this on here as a note to be saved and printed out. So it's all freehand, so as we start writing this, okay, so having written this with this little felt tip pen annotation, you can see that it's a bit of an art. It's going to take some practice to use this felt tip pen, but this is one method it can be used in. From here I'm going to right click my screen and choose and point to Pointer Options and then come back to Arrow, and that changes my cursor back to the arrow. Now I can just click the screen to navigate to the next slide and then see a bit of an animation here. I'm going to click through my presentation to get to the end. And here's the end of the presentation. It's a blank screen. When I click one more time, I get a dialog box here that appears that tells me, do you want to keep your ink annotations? I'm going to click Keep. And after clicking Keep, I can scroll through and come to slide 9, and there are all of the annotations I just created. That's kind of neat. Now I can print this out and give it to my audience members as a takeaway from the presentation. From here I'm going to click Save to save my work, and this concludes exercise 42, Annotations and Pointer Options. Next will be exercise 43, creating handouts in Microsoft Word.